Lunchbox Reviews. We're talking about Wandavision, episode 8, previously on. But before we get to it, let me throw it to Lou to talk about the giveaway.
So we are still giving away 2 Wandavision Funko Pops. This week would technically be the last week for you to try and join, as we are going to reveal the winners in the next episode. So like, comment, subscribe, hit that, as you know, they say, the notification bell. And the more comments you do, the more chances you have of winning.
So I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Lou.
Sup?
And Michelle.
Hello.
And we are at the penultimate episode of Wandavision. Just one more left after this week. And it's a very emotional time because we've grown a lot closer in discussing this horribly tease of a show. But this episode was unique in that it was all flashbacks and mostly all were Wanda's, except for the very first one. But we'll get to that in a second. First of all, I'd like to talk about everyone's thoughts.
I can start off. It was really, really good. Again, like I said before, after the first few episodes, it shot up and just kind of stayed in the same line. It didn't go down. I didn't, however, like that they kind of maybe lacked a little bit of setup for the next episode. But other than that, I wish because it was basically like Alex was saying, it's all flashbacks, and it's like they showed, what we're gonna talk about later as a mid-credit scene, and then it just kind of move on to the next episode. So I wish they did more of setting up the last episode. But other than that, it was really good. It was emotional.
I agree. The emotional part is what made this episode really stand out for me. I thought Elizabeth Olsen has been fantastic this entire show, but I feel like this episode in particular, like her acting chops through the roof. It was really hard not to feel so much in each scene. Just in each flashback, there was a lot of trauma being like explicitly shown, which we'd all guessed about most of the things, and I'm like happy to say we were correct about a lot of things that we'd said pertaining to these flashbacks. But seeing her go through them and revisit them tugged at the heartstrings. I felt a little bit emotionally drained by the end of it because I felt a lot of it, especially the last kind of flashback. It tore me. I'm gonna cry. Like it was spectacular. It was so good. As far as the tone went, I felt it was different from every other episode because we haven't had like one lacking whimsy to this degree, I guess I would say, because Jordan's not here to say it. It wasn't fun at all. It was pretty heavy, and I loved that about it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I agree with both of you. This episode did hit differently than all the other ones. It was a lot more emotional, and I think it reinforces the point that I've repeated throughout our entire series, in that any puppet master, any outside influence of Wanda would cheapen this, because this is a story about a woman's trauma, a woman overcoming these personal issues and just like unheard of disasters thrust upon her, and her reaction to that, and the reaction is just her powers taking on a life of its own, literally, in more ways than one. And we'll get to the flashback in Westview, because that's the culmination of her stress. But first, we'll talk about badass Agatha and the Salem trials, but kind of like a different twist on it, because they weren't witch hunters that were burning her at the stake, but it was a coven of witches that had her tied at the stake for reading from a tome that she should not have read from studying the black mystic arts, that if anybody else has watched Doctor Strange, you can't touch those books. Right? There you get a little slap on the wrist by Wong. So it was a great look at her origin, where she started, and you don't need to fill any blanks, in my opinion, from that point to today's point. But what's your thoughts on it?
It felt like a very quick and succinct origin. As you said, Alex, I didn't need more than that. That was enough background for me to see what Agatha's up to now and kind of get it, especially as it pertains to this episode and her practicing of magic and what that seems to mean to her in relation to Wanda. I thought that was just enough preface that I was like, great, makes sense why we're going to take this journey now. So it was cool. And I mean, it was cool seeing her be like such a badass versus all the other witches, and the different colors of magic again, I think is always fascinating with the purple coming through. So yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, it's a great little 5-minute scene just to kind of give us the background of Agatha. She, from that scene tells me that she's after, ultimate power. And she went through her coven, including her own mother, to get there. I guess, I don't know. My question to you guys, if you notice it, is like, what was that crown? Her mother had it when her mother had the last attack. There was a crown, kind of a magical crown on her before she died. So I wonder if there was any significance to that you guys would know of, because I was kind of curious about
that. As far as witches goes, that just made me think she was the supreme, like she was the queen witch, queen bitch, and Agatha killed her. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. It was really showing that her mother was in such a place of power, and Agatha was still able to defeat her like the rest. That's what it meant to me.
Very easily,
I'm not sure.
by the way, very easily.
Yeah. Barely breaking a sweat. Like,
yeah.
Okay, here's one of the theories I have, because it looked very much like she was kind of like magicking their magic, like eating up their magic and putting it back against them. And I just thought that was really interesting, just the way they were shooting those beams of light into her, and then her magic was slowly kind of like eating it, if that makes sense. So that just seemed really interesting to me, that was the visual behind it. Not that she shot her own beam, but she kind of consumed theirs, if that makes sense.
So,
sorry, Alex, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, for once, it did seem like there was a character siphoning magic from another source, and that's Agatha. And because that power shouldn't belong to her exclusively. Like, she shouldn't have that power set to kill all the entire coven and her mother. And then when you flash to the present, you do see her powers in action. She's transforming the cicada or fly, whatever that was, into a bird.
Mephisto bug.
yeah. Wow, so much for that.
I know. I'm like, okay, I'm over it. Mephisto bye. Like, you're a bird that got eaten by a rabbit. So.
However, funny rabbit, what's it, Mr. Scratches?
Senor Scratchy.
Senor Scratches. Yeah, Senor Scratchy. I think there's something going on with Senor Scratchy having eaten that bird, and just the way Agatha holds it. Yeah. You never know. Like, I guess this is one of my predictions for next week. Whatever, the fan favorite, Mephisto, Nightmare, Cthulhu, Jason Voorhees, whoever it is, this dark evil entity, it's going to be that rabbit. That's my guess. That's my prediction.
That was basically what I was gonna say. I was just gonna say Mephisto is still alive. It's that bunny, whatever, like you were saying, Mephisto, Nightmare, Freddy.
Yeah.
That is the bunny. And I don't think we are gonna get a lot of that bunny until probably Doctor Strange 2, where so it'll be a little tease near the end. But yeah, that was all I was gonna add to that.
I think it's important to point out in this, because when Agatha kind of revealed what's going on and they start to take, like right before they start to take their journey, she says some interesting things. So what I gathered is her issue with Wanda is that Wanda is seemingly able to create matter at this point, which is kind of revealed to us a little bit later in the flashbacks. Because Agatha very specifically talks about the fact that she can only transform matter, which she shows through like the bug thing and the bird and all that. At which point she mentions Pietro, as she calls fake Pietro. And she calls him, quote unquote, a crystalline possession, which I've literally never heard of that. I tried to Google it. I wasn't quite sure what that meant. But I think at the very least, she's implying she didn't make him out of nothing. So he's something, he's someone, because she'd mentioned she can't bring people back from the dead and the other body was too full of bullets.
Yep.
So who is this Pietro? Like, didn't answer that, but we know it's not just a created thing. It's somebody. There's somebody under that or somebody in that. And that hasn't been answered. And I thought that was a little interesting because Snooper's going to snoop and we don't know what happened after that.
See, this is where I believe that it is still Peter Maximoff from the X-Men universe. The fact that she didn't mention that she was just, like a delivery guy or somebody down the street. The fact that she did not mention who he was leads me to believe that he has to, because it has to kind of like whatever, I don't remember the term right now, but it has to kind of resemble his brother, not just in like physically, but somehow spiritually have some similarities, right? So plucking him from another, universe, like, to me makes sense.
Because even from Wanda, we haven't seen someone transformed physically to like an extreme degree. So I'd be curious if, I don't know, just based on the power difference between Agatha and Wanda, is Agatha really able to change somebody so drastically? I'm not sure. I hope it's Peter. Like, I've been on
Same.
Team Peter since day one, and I think it's still a possibility.
Absolutely.
And it makes me really excited. So fingers crossed.
Let's hope. I wouldn't mind. And now for our first flashback, we have Wanda as a child in Sokovia. Her father just gets home from a hard day of hawking DVDs, it seems. So this sets it like around the mid 2000s, possibly early 2000s. And the family's about to sit down and watch a sitcom, Wanda's Choice, which was, I think, the Dick Van Dyke Show, an episode of DVD. Yeah. And they were interrupted by an attack, I suppose, the Civil War or what have you. And this harkens back to Age of Ultron, Avengers Part 2, where Wanda explains that she was trapped under a building with her brother with a missile that said Stark Industries that was just defective. And the implication is exactly is that how could it be defective? Like, to me, that's the first thing I thought. Like, how the hell is a Stark missile going to be defective? We've never seen anything he created be defective. So the implication was that this is the first manifestation of her innate powers, that perhaps she wasn't given these powers by Hydra, as we thought all along, and that it was within her all along. Do you guys think?
I totally agree with you. I think that's just her in that, like, basically the same way other mutants manifest their X gene is through like fear or something like. And I think Agatha was asking, like, how did you do that probability hex or something like that? Well, she technically didn't do a spell, and then her, like, I guess mutant abilities just showed up for the first time. Which, are there more of them now? Because if that's the case, are there more mutants somewhere?
Hey.
Right? So
Hey,
that was my thought on that.
The thing that I'm getting stuck on, I guess, with the mutant versus not mutant situation, and this is just a me problem for sure, because Agatha's really attached to the fact that Wanda's a witch. Like, she's really trying to imply she's a witch. So is a witch a mutant? Like, you know what I mean? Is that a thing? Like, in the comic book universe, is there crossover between the two? Like, could a mutant be a witch and could a witch be a mutant? Do you know what I mean? Because is she a witch who then got her witchy powers expanded by the Mind Stone? Because that seems to be what Agatha's implying. Or, as Lou's implying, she was a mutant whose X gene got, like, amplified. Are those the same? Are they different? Do you know what I mean?
Well, the first character I think of is Magic, Ileana Rasputin from the comics, and but I think she spent several years in limbo, and I think that's where she developed her sort of sorcery powers. So I can't think
Her
of
mutant
another
power
character.
was to get to limbo, and then her
Right.
sorcery was from limbo. Like that's where she learned it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There you
Cool.
go.
Okay. Thank you. That actually helped. That helps.
Yeah.
I'm curious because I'm getting caught up in the magic, like the word
Yeah.
magic, as it relates to this universe, because there are so many different types of beings in the MCU, and at what point is it magic, mutant, mind stone, infinity stone, technology, science? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, are they
Yeah.
all the same thing, just named differently? I don't know. This is just me like semantics getting stuck there.
I think it's kind of like, I want to say a cop out, but like more like an easy way out for the writers to use the umbrella term of like chaos magic. So what falls under that? It's like, wow, you can have your mutant powers there. That like that can develop from this chaos magic. Chaos magic, I think they're going to use it to explain a lot of things that like in
I
any like
agree with
loose
that, yeah.
threads. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Then I have no problems.
Yeah.
It's all chaos.
That's
Chaos.
why Agatha
That's it.
is so afraid of Wanda, because of
Mhm.
that power, which according to her is a myth, right?
Mhm.
Oh, that's right.
I think there's jealousy and confusion there as well, because
Mhm.
my understanding is Agatha's, she's stolen, she's trained, she's worked for the level of magic she has, and Wanda seemingly like stumbled upon it, and it just kind of happened to her. She's not specifically tried to train it, because we don't really see that with her in the Avengers of her trying to like
She never had
figure out what
proper
her
training.
powers can do, or do any like Professor X type stuff, like being trained with it. So I think there's like that level of jealousy between the two of them. And before we move past this like flashback, I want to give props to, I don't know who, but someone from our original group of four, because somebody said that she probably watched these shows as a
That
child.
was me.
And
Yeah.
there we go. Okay, I was like, I couldn't remember who had said it, so huge pat on the back. Because
Nice.
when we got there, I was like, I know somebody said this, and that's like, I know we'd gone back and looked to see if there was any references or anything, and there wasn't. And so here it is. You were 100% correct as to why WandaVision show kind of took the form it did. So pat for you, Lou.
Nice.
Now let's hope
And,
Mephisto becomes correct. I am gonna burn at the stake for this. So go down with the ship, whatever. Let
One
it
more
happen.
week left. Just one more week. Don't worry.
Can still happen.
I think we have the thumbnails for next week. Speaking of burn at the stake.
Yep.
So moving on with the flashbacks. The next one, we have grown-up Wanda. It's a Hydra compound with Loki's former scepter, where the mind gem resides, and I guess Wanda interacts with it and has this vision with it, no pun intended, within the mind gem sort of aura or energy that it emits, and she sees herself in like a full superhero regalia, just looking like straight out of the comics, like even more so than we've ever seen her prior to this moment. We also get to see Von Strucker and some other Hydra jabronis there. But yeah, the visual was awesome. I thought it was incredible seeing Wanda, seeing herself within this, and I really hope we get to see this costume. What about you guys?
Well, as for the costume, it's already revealed in one of the posters.
Oh,
Mhm.
all right.
Where it's a picture of Wanda, and then one of the TVs actually has that part of the costume, including there's like a belt part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
Cool.
what that scene reminded me of, like, it was truly like a Phoenix scene.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with X-Men, that was like, all right, it's Jean Grey right here. But it was great. Again, it kind of lets us know about how the stone was probably seeking somebody that has power already, that it kind of was looking for her. Again, another reference to the Phoenix. But yeah, I thought it was really awesome. Like Alex said, I wish we get to fully see that scene like in basically the last episode.
I don't know if I have literally anything to add. I agree. The only thing I think for me, it solidified the fact that she had powers, because they explicitly said that no one else had survived an interaction with the scepter, and then she obviously survived it. And it was kind of fun to see that little like jump cut edit of the security footage, which is a little reminder of what's about to happen with WandaVision and all the jump cuts in the broadcast. So I thought that was kind of a cool like call back, call forward situation. It was great.
I don't know if anybody remembered or paid attention, but everyone else died, right? Except for, did Pietro go through that too? So it was just the two of them that survived. Right? Okay, yeah, okay, just making sure.
I think that's like, yeah, that's implied in Ultron.
Yeah.
So previously implied, but also in
And there were volunteers,
Timeline's
and
all
basically
crazy.
everyone else didn't survive except for those two.
Right on. And let's move ahead forward. The next flashback is just after the Sokovia incident with Ultron and Pietro's death. Wanda is mourning at Avengers HQ and shares a tender moment with Vision about grief, about sorrow, about her brother's death. And yeah, I mean, let you guys take over now.
I love that scene because I felt like one of the misses in the Avengers movie was the development of the relationship between Wanda and Vision, because suddenly, what is it, in Infinity Wars, Endgame, whatever, they're like off together in love, and it felt like a big jump for them to get to that point, from everything that happened in Civil War. So seeing this kind of tender moment that like would have happened before that, really, I don't know, it started to solidify the creation of their relationship. And then Vision's line about love as it pertains to grief, I don't remember the exact phrasing. I think it's like, what is grief but love persisting or persevering or something of that. Mic drop. It was so good, and it felt really like, I think Wanda in current time needed to hear that in that moment. And I think that was it was a beautiful moment. Like I honestly, I'm not usually so positive. I have so many positive things to say about this episode. I freaking love it.
I basically agree 100% with what Michelle just said. Just to add on is that I really like that scene between the two of them. Finally, there's a you see the connection, even in just kind of the way it was acted. It was acted beautifully by the two of them. And yeah, it does solidify the two as maybe that's the start of their relationship, and it makes Infinity War make sense of why they kind of just ran away. So yeah, basically what Michelle just said.
A great fill in the blank flashback, and very
absolutely.
much needed. Yeah, definitely. And soon after, we have Wanda visiting Sword HQ to reclaim the Vision's body, because, as she said, he deserves a funeral, which he definitely does. However, Hayward also postulates the thought that he's like, what, $1 billion, $3 billion machine. It should not be buried underground. And he does have a point. It's like, if you put it somewhere in a tomb, like, who's to say someone else won't, dig it up and what have you. But that's beside the point. Let me carry on with the scene, because it was just so much to take in. So Hayward does show Wanda the Vision's body, and it's splayed out very much like a scene in the West Coast Avengers that Lou has an image of. Splicey Splice.
Yep.
And so Wanda's distraught. She goes down to see the body, and she says, "I can't feel you." Now that line is a line that's often repeated in the movies. In Infinity War, the Vision says to her that I can feel you, and at the end, when she's about to destroy his mind gem, he says, "You can't hurt me. I can feel you," something like that, something around those lines. So to hear Wanda say those words, "I can't feel you," that's devastating to the core for her and for the audience. And we see her leave, but we see her leave without the Vision's body. Okay, so someone was lying, someone was doctoring footage of Wanda stealing the body. Tell me, guys, I'm pissed off. What did you guys think?
Hayward is sus. He's so suspicious. We've been suspicious of him for a hot minute now, but he was the one who said, no, Wanda stole the body. Wanda did these things, da da da. When very clearly she didn't. Though in that scene when they were having a discussion, it felt like he was goading her. He was like throwing these little nuggets 100%. Out there. He's like, oh, you could probably bring him back. Like he said something of that nature, like putting these ideas in her head. So I don't know what he was trying to accomplish with that, because he was really like trying to make her do something she clearly didn't want to do. She was just in grief, wanted to bury the love of her life. That's a pretty reasonable headspace to be in. And Hayward seemed to be just trying to find these buttons to push in their conversation that eventually led to her like breaking the glass and jumping down, but still didn't result, I think, in what he wanted it to result in. And I guess we kind of learn later on he was hoping she would power him on in some capacity, because we do find out that through the use of her magic, they're able to power something else. We'll get there. So I think he's pissed at Wanda because she didn't kind of rise to his jabs, if that makes sense.
Yep. Hayward is a piece of shit. I mean, earlier, I know I said that I was giving him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, because kind of to put on his shoes, having to deal with something that insane, and it's under your kind of, your protection, that's crazy. But after this episode, yeah, he's just a piece of shit. He was trying to put words and make Wanda do things that Wanda didn't want to do, including the fact that lying, saying that Wanda stole the body when in fact she didn't. She left peacefully, and Hayward made it seem like she's a criminal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, goddamn, he's.
Damn you, Hayward. I just want to say the level of manipulation from Hayward extends beyond that, because if you think about the whole Westview Wanda incident, why is SWORD the only sort of task force at the scene? Sure, like Agent Wu was there under the FBI, but he was just a lone agent. But like, how did SWORD get to be the only task force there, if not by lying, saying, oh, this deals with us. Wanda stole our property and she's doing something with it. And then the doctored footage that he has of Wanda taking the body, which she clearly didn't. And so that's, I suppose, the way he just gets himself involved, and he's just stuck there doing his own thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, where was SHIELD? Where were the Avengers? I mean, where was Shuri, who did an entire scan of Vision, and they seem to be not involved with this at all. So yeah, that's how. Goddamn, he a lot of beliefs. Sorry.
Whether he's like an actual evil person or just an asshole, I hate him. Regardless, whatever he's doing the wrong thing.
I just like to add, like, the motivation is there. He, like, the most sophisticated sentient weapon that there's ever been, and that's the Vision. So I want to say that strikes off any Mephisto influence, any sort of diabolical, supernatural. I don't think it's Hayward, although people think. And the Skrull thing, I don't know. Like, once you add Skrulls, you never know. That's all in the air. You never know. Zip forward once again to the very last flashback. Wanda, pissed off from her visit to SWORD and seeing the truth behind the Vision and his body, she travels to Westview, where I think she pulls out a deed and a map that highlights a plot of land that I believe Vision and Wanda were planning to live on. That was going to be their home for the rest of their superhero life. And without the Vision there, she's unable to do that. So her powers, their chaos powers, chaos magic, manifests itself, and she builds a house from the ground up and transforms the town of sad-looking people. They were pretty miserable. They were looking pretty miserable, by the way. And yeah, this is where WandaVision begins. This is the origin of WandaVision. Westview is walled off, and she creates the Vision, just standing right in front of her from scratch, from the ground up, no body whatsoever. She creates her version of the Vision in Westview, and that's where the show begins. They're set in the 50s, and you continue on. Were you guys satisfied with this origin story of Westview?
Yeah. I'll
Yes.
go. Yes,
Sure.
absolutely. I mean, it was heartbreaking. It was gut-wrenching. Her like scream of anguish, essentially, when she like fell to her knees and then the magic happened, it pierced my dark soul. It was really beautiful. I thought if there was going to be a way that they showed how this happened, it's a way that felt almost fully justified in my mind. Like I completely felt her grief in that moment and why she would create this place and this whole safe town, because with all those different memories, it was her safety blanket with her family, and her parents wanted to learn English, so that's why it was all these shows, and it felt really safe to her before her life kind of got fully uprooted. And then seeing her create Vision from the nothing kind of solidifies why Agatha is so peeved about everything, because she's not supposed to be able to do that with her chaos magic or whatever it is, being able to fully create a being that seems to exist really without her, like her mind control or anything. That seems like a far stretch for her magic, even if her magic like made sense that she'd be able to make that Westview what it was. Like that was a stretch, but it wasn't such a stretch because it was just changing matter, not completely creating it. So it was oh, so good, so sad.
Yeah, like Michelle said, this scene was very heartbreaking, especially that it mirrored the scene from Age of Ultron, where she didn't see it, but when she felt that Pietro died, that was like kind of the scream. She drops to her knees and just lets out her magic. And having to have lived through that, being with the Avengers and being with Vision to help her get back up again, sort of, make her feel a little better. And then to lose that too. And then with finally the final straw with her encounter with Hayward, which was just, man, it hurt. I felt like the time she was when she was on her way to Westview, just seeing all the townspeople like really sad looking, and then finally just letting it out. It was like I was waiting for something like that to happen, and yeah, it's heartbreaking, man. I felt that.
This is definitely like a Dark Phoenix story done right.
Finally, right?
Yeah, finally. Like this is definitely, yeah. It was like Fox focused more on like the power levels rather than the emotional conflict. So
yes,
there you go.
100%. Yeah.
So now you have like a balance in WandaVision, and unfortunately, it's not the Phoenix. But anyway, maybe WandaVision. I mean, Wanda's awesome, anyways. And now we reach the end of. Oh no, wait, not the end. It's the mid-credit scene. Damn you, Marvel! You did it to us again. This mid-credit scene shows Hayward preparing his weapon to send into Westview, and I guess deal with what's going on there. And what better than his own Vision synthezoid? But what color was he? What was that? White? It was
off
like,
white, some grayish,
eggshell
bluish
white.
Like there also
Eggshell
was a
white.
blue tint.
Eggshell white. Let's go. Eggshell white with the weird eyes. The albino Vision, I suppose. And they're about to send him in to Westview. So we talked about this last week that yes, Hayward is creating a robot to send in. So guys,
you call that?
Everyone,
you call that?
Yeah.
Called out with the cataract. What's up?
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, I mean, not much of a surprise. I think we're all expecting something, but next episode's going to be hectic. And were you happy with that reveal?
I was. The funny thing is, the Thursday night before that episode, I had this thought in my head, and I wanted to like text the group like, "Hey guys, what if Wanda never stole the body? What if this is, you know?" And then I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's 1 a.m. Like, okay, right, I'm gonna go to sleep. And then I would have looked so cool that I thought of that. But
Oh.
I wish you'd done that. Like that would have been like double pats on the back.
Yeah, but we sort of got it right. So yeah, that was really cool. Now, the cool part about this is I'm curious what this synthesoid's makeup is gonna be like. Who is he? Are we gonna hear Vision's voice? Are we gonna hear a completely different voice? Are we gonna hear Ultron's voice? So this leads me to believe that, going into theories again, that both Visions will fight each other. The Hex, the Wanda's Vision will kill that dude, and then the Hex will be gone, and then Vision will also die. So that's kind of one of the predictions that I'll put out there. But really cool. I like that. I like that there's gonna be some cool battle scenes. And again, there was a interview with Paul Bettany again saying that this last episode has more CGI than Endgame, which is kind of insane if you think about it.
Damn. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
That's
super excited
crazy.
for that.
Ooh, finally the fight that I've been waiting for. Give me
Michelle's
all
fight.
the
Here we
power
go.
fights. Let's go. I want it so bad. Lou, you reminded me though. This is just very self-serving. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for my wild theory that is 100% freaking true that you just reminded me of. The title. I said, what if it's Wanda's vision? I remember when I said that,
Yes.
and I was freaking right. I absolutely nailed it. Like that is exactly what it is. So, woo,
Yep.
celebrating me because that was super
Nice.
weird. But I did it. I don't have a theory necessarily about who this guy is, what this guy is gonna do. I'm here for the fight that they've been seemingly teasing for a while. When Wanda and Geraldine, or what's her Monica Geraldine, I'm like, what's her name? When they were like gonna go at it, like I feel like we've been promised a big super fight, and I want that for next episode so bad, and I want it to be as colorful as I think it's going to be, especially with all the people having like very pigmented powers, I guess would be the word I'd use. That could be what the CGI really is. It's just like this colorful thing, especially because Westview is so colorful now that we're kind of into current times. I just hope it's like, I want it to be just visually so awesome.
And just to add something is, don't think for a second that this amount of magic being used will not ring the bell of a certain sorcerer supreme.
Yeah.
I would be surprised actually if he didn't show up for a cameo, like even a little bit, just to take Wanda and maybe put her under her wing, whatever. But yeah.
I've got one bold prediction, and perhaps it's not so bold. Maybe you two were thinking the same thing, but I do think when OG Vision, I don't know what to call him, the White Vision, yeah, because I feel funny calling him Real Vision. I don't think
Eggshell Vision.
I would just call him Vision. It's Vision and Cataract. That's what I've been calling them.
Okay, Cataract. I think he's gonna pop up. First thing he's gonna do, he kills Agatha. Agatha is off the map. Yes. And then perhaps at the end, like the mid-credit scene, we're gonna have our little reveal of Senor Scratchy and what Senor Scratchy's deal is. That's what I'm thinking. That's
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I see that. I see that happening. Because also maybe Senor Scratchy is like under Agatha's control, like was transformed into Senor Scratchy, and then with Agatha dead, that being can be their true version.
In the comics, I think that's the case. I'm pretty sure that
Nicholas Scratch.
Yeah, that's right. That's her son, right?
Yeah.
But in this one, in this, it's just I think the rabbit has like a bigger role because it's gonna be one of those things when we rewatch the episodes, we're gonna see, oh, the rabbit's in the house, like, oh, the rabbit's right there, and we'll see, and like if it turns out to be like Nightmare, it's like, oh my god, that's Nightmare, he's right there. So yeah,
or the rabbit was a tiger all along.
Oh.
Or the rabbit ate the cicada. Rabbits eat, plants and stuff. I don't know if rabbits are meat eaters, but it ate the cicada.
Rabbit ate Mephisto.
The rabbit ate Mephisto.
Sorry, Mephisto.
Not a theory, but just a wish, if you will, is let's say chaos is happening all around the bubble and people need to get out of that bubble. It would be so amazing if we saw Peter Maximoff take people out of that bubble with some classic tune.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get it, but that's just like a wish. That's like,
I don't necessarily have any predictions, but I have some questions that haven't been answered yet that I'm just gonna like put out there in case they become relevant. We still don't know who Jimmy Woo's missing person is, and it's been haunting me.
Yes.
I'm just curious, and it felt like Dottie was important, but now it doesn't, and I don't know if she was just a random human and she's just there, or I don't know, it felt weird that we kind of were super suspicious of her and then she just disappeared off the face of the earth for a while. So throwing those out there. And then, I mean, I don't know.
It can't be just a throwaway line, right? It has to be something.
Yeah. I feel like a lot, like I haven't seen anything that's not intentional at this point. Even the smaller things seem really intentional. So question mark there. Then the only thing I'm going to just bring up, because I don't know where else to bring it up, is the Wonderman theory, I guess. Because Alex had mentioned Wonderman last week, kind of as a throwaway comment, and it could be a thing because there's still the hinting of a like next level cameo and who it would be in this and that. And it was said that Paul Bettany, like the person who it could be, is somebody that Paul Bettany has always wanted to work with. And one of the theories floating around is that it's Nathan Fillion as Wonderman, because of what was filmed and cut out for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And then in one of the featurettes of WandaVision, there was this photo that we're going to put up at this point, showing a little Wonderman thing in the background. And that also seemed like too conspicuously placed to just not mean anything. So maybe something Wonderman related would be cool. Maybe like as a very, very final credit situation, he just like shows up like, did I miss the party or some stupid Nathan Fillion joke? I don't know.
He's very important to the whole Wanda and Vision comic book storyline. So like it would be, I don't know, a misstep to just exclude him completely, as like not even like an actor on a different show, and let's say like episode 5 or something. But it would be cool to see. At this point, I think there's like so many characters and like so many character resolutions that we have to see that who knows who's gonna just get tossed aside. And next episode will be 40 minutes, 50 minutes?
They said it's around 50, so it should be the longest episode so far.
Okay.
Which would make sense because there's no way they can tie everything up in like 30 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. Not if there's gonna be an epic battle.
Oh yeah.
No way. Give me 15 minutes of fighting.
15 minutes of epic battles. Like you're gonna need 5 minutes alone for Quicksilver's scene.
Yeah, depending on the length of the song, like who knows?
Yeah.
Witchy Woman by the Eagles.
Yeah, I was literally thinking like Black Magic Woman. Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh yeah,
something
that's a good
like
one,
that, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say Sweet Dreams, but then they already used that.
They did.
Ooh, now my brain's just like, what cool songs? I could go off forever about that. Cool.
All right, with that, we've reached the end, and we'd like to thank you all for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, share with your friends. You can follow us on all the social medias that you have. And we'll see you next week. Adios.
Bye.
Peace.